Hello everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. This is just a short video to show my streaming and recording setup. I've had a lot of people asking on social media to show what my setup is, as there is a lot of complication out there in terms of setup, getting audio to sync, in-game chat, microphones and all of that. I encountered all of the problems that you no doubt have encountered as well, and it took me a long time to find the answers to them because the internet is not a friendly place to find the specific setup that you might need. So I'm going to try and explain simply and straightforward what my setup is. I do hope this helps. So first of all, let me go through the equipment that I have. Up here, I have a HDMI to Lightning connector, which will connect to your iPad. I have an iPad Air 2. Then down here, I have an unpowered microphone. So this microphone runs through to a 3.5mm connection. Very, very simple unpowered microphone. I then have a microphone stand. Of course, this is optional, but it does allow you to talk hands-free. Then we have a USB to Lightning connector, and this connects to your iPad. There are two pairs of earphones, and both of these earphones are 3.5mm connections. So your standard Apple earphones will work. Of course, you don't have to use Apple, but that's what I use. We have the Elgato HD60 here. Let me point out at this stage that Elgato were probably the most useless company I've ever contacted in terms of helping, responding, giving you any advice. I had a lot of problems setting up my equipment to start with, mostly because of their device. They are pretty crappy, so don't rely on them if you have any questions, but I think I've overcome most of the problems myself at the moment, so I'll try and explain those to you. Then we have two HDMI cables. You'll need two of those. I use a MacBook Pro. Mine's actually a 2014 Retina MacBook Pro. Then there is a 3.5mm to 3.5mm jack. Then there are two 3.5mm splitters. Now, one of these can just be a 3.5mm and then there's 3.5mm two inputs here. That can just be a generic one. The second one, of course, is 3.5mm with 3.5mm inputs as well, but one of them must have this earphones input and one must have the microphone input. Really critical shout out at this point is that your 3.5mm jack here will only need to have the three metal parts on them. See, 1, 2, 3, separated by the plastic rings here. Only needs 3. But these splitters must have 4 metal parts on them, separated by 3 plastic rings. So 1, 2, 3, 4 metal parts, 1, 2, 3 plastic rings. That applies to both of these splitters. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's really key. That ensures that you have the proper microphone input. If you only have the 3 parts here, then your microphone input will not work. I came up against that problem myself, and it's something I don't want you to come up against. Okay, so that's my equipment. Let's look at my actual setup. I've just drawn a simple layout here. So I have my MacBook, my iPad, USB power bank, and a microphone. And of course the Elgato HD60 as well. There's also a cable key down here, so when I show the cable shortly, you'll see that purple is power, red is HDMI, and blue is 3.5mm cable. Alright, so you start off by connecting the HDMI to Lightning connector into your iPad, so connect that into your iPad. Second, you're going to take the first universal splitter and plug the 3.5mm jack into the earphones part of your iPad. Then you're going to take the second splitter and plug this end into your earphone section of the MacBook. Then you're going to take your 2 pairs of earphones. Now, there are 2 pairs here. This is the pair of earphones you're going to use. This pair will not be used. I found that by connecting these earphones, it helps stop any echo or feedback, but they are not used at all. You will be able to use them to monitor your MacBook, but you don't use them for anything at all. Strange, but it just seemed to work. Okay, let's look at the cables then. So power-wise, from USB power to your Elgato, you'll connect that up. Your Elgato HD60 actually comes with a power lead, so you just plonk those in. Secondly is your USB Lightning connector, so that plugs in here to make sure your iPad is juiced up. Next, we look at HDMI cables. You connect one HDMI cable from this HDMI Lightning connector to your Elgato, and the second HDMI cable goes from your MacBook to your Elgato as well. Next, we're going to look at the rest of the cables. So let's start with the microphone down here. Your microphone, which should come with the 3.5mm cable anyway, will connect to this microphone input from your splitter, so that's a direct connection. Your second connection will be these earphones, which will plonk into the earphone section of this splitter here. Again, like we said, these won't be used, but by connecting them, it stops an echo and it stops a lot of problems I found as well. Then you take your 3.5mm to 3.5mm jack, which I showed you earlier on the last slide, and you connect one end here and one end into your Elgato HD60. Then you take your second set of microphones, and this is a pair of microphones that actually has a speaker built in as well that connects here. Now this speaker is actually used to communicate with your in-game chat on your iPad game. For example, I play PUBG Mobile. Your voice is transmitted through these earphones, and this microphone is purely used to record your commentary onto the software on the MacBook to make sure that everything is recorded. So basically, this is not picked up by the Elgato, your speech from here, but your speech is picked up from here. The in-game play will automatically be recorded onto the Elgato through your iPad through this HDMI connector. A really important shout out at this point, once you've got all of this connected up, a lot of people have a problem where they cannot hear on their headset here the in-game audio. And it's kind of it's a common problem that people have. They connect everything up and then they can't hear the in-game gameplay from their iPad. All you need to do to fix that is unplug this jack here and plug it back in again. And that essentially diverts gameplay from your HDMI back to your 3.5mm jack. So if you have that problem, connect everything up and then unplug this and plug it back in again, and that will fix it. Okay, I'm going to move over now to the software, so the Game Capture HD software, which is a free download from the Elgato website. Once you've connected your HD60, this software will spring into life. So I'm just going to show you the settings that I have. So under the Capture tab, there is a Settings cog. And again, I'm not going to talk through all of the settings here, but I'll just show you the settings that I have ticked, what's left unticked. All you need to do is pause this video and copy that. Secondly, under the device, you go to Settings here. We'll start on the Capture tab. Again, I'm not going to explain through each of these, but just pause the screen and copy all of these settings and all of the tick boxes. Really, really important that this analog audio box is ticked with the setup that we have. That is really important. So check all of that and copy it. Picture, that's the settings I have for picture. Audio, -6 decibels. Profiles, I don't have anything selected here, and advanced, I don't use this because I don't go through a TV, it goes straight into my MacBook, but you'll see that's the setup there. So if you need to see any of that back, just pause it and take a look back. In terms of the game audio, I have that set at 3 decibels, and that's basically the volume at which your game audio is captured at. I have live commentary set at 2 decibels, so that's your microphone input. You'll see the live streaming I have set to Twitch at the moment, and that's set at 3.5 megabytes per second. This all depends on the strength of your internet connection, your upload and your download speed, but 3.5 is probably good enough for most people. Then down here you have the options to record your gameplay. So this essentially records what you're doing onto a local file. If you hit stream, my setup will actually stream it to Twitch and record it at the same time as well, so you can go back and edit it later. Commentary, that must be turned on. By turning commentary on, that means that your audio will be captured. Without it, your audio will not be captured. This is a really important shout out as well. So here you've got this mute and unmute button. This must be on mute, otherwise you'll find a huge echo on your playback. So I told you about the spare earphone setup before reducing echo. This also gets rid of echo as well. Two really important things to be aware of. So these are the key settings that you need in order to have the same setup that I do. I hope this has been useful and has showed you everything you need. If you have any more specific questions, bear in mind I'm not a technical geek, I just managed to work this out on my own, then please ask questions in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Thanks very much for watching and good luck with your stream setup.